There is a specific kind of fear that has nothing to do with monsters or darkness or things that go bump in the night. It is the fear that comes when something you thought was hidden, something you thought only you knew about, turns out to have been watched, studied, tracked for a very long time. Daniel Mercer had been in his grandmother's house for 6 days. He had read the journals. He had read the agreement. He had fed the guest. He had learned about Harlan Cole, about the Voss family, about the blood that ran through his veins that made him perfectly suited for this arrangement. He had begun, cautiously, to believe he understood the shape of what he was dealing with. He was wrong. He understood almost nothing. And the person standing on the other side of that door was about to prove it. What came next was the most terrifying week of Daniel Mercer's life. And it didn't start with the guest. It started with a woman who already knew its name. Visitor. Door opens. It's raining outside. A figure standing in the darkness. She was older. Late 60s, maybe 70. Small. Dressed entirely in black, which Daniel initially attributed to the rain and the dark before realizing her clothes were simply black. All of them. Like she had worn nothing else for years. She carried a leather bag, old, worn at the corners, the kind that had traveled a great distance many times. She looked at Daniel the way people look at something they have been searching for. Her voice, calm, almost gentle, almost. She said, "You must be Thomas's boy. You have his eyes, his jaw. The same way of standing like you're bracing for impact." Daniel said nothing. She hadn't asked a question. She continued, "My name is Mara Veld. I've been looking for this house for 11 years. I'd like to come in. I think you know why." Veld? Daniel had seen that name. Page 7 of the agreement. One of the original 7 families listed in the guest's history. A family that had been maintaining their own arrangements since the 1800s. He stepped back from the door. He wasn't sure why. He would ask himself that question many times afterward, why he let her in. The most honest answer he could give was that something in the house wanted him to. She started walking. Her footsteps on the wooden floor were deliberate, unhurried. She stopped in the middle of the hallway, tilted her head upward, toward the attic, closed her eyes. When she opened them, her expression had shifted, something between recognition and grief. It's grown. 11 years and it's grown considerably. That's not good. A sound from above. Not a creak. A response. Low, resonant, like a frequency felt more than heard. The walls vibrating almost imperceptibly. Daniel felt it in his teeth. Mara set her bag down, looked at Daniel directly. She said, "I need you to listen to me very carefully. Everything you've read in those documents, the agreement, the terms, Cole's notebook, it's true. All of it, but it's incomplete. Cole only documented what he could observe, what he could measure. He had no idea what these things actually are, where they come from, what they're capable of when they stop being still." She takes a pause like she's just trying to find some answer. She takes a deep breath and she asks, "Has it moved through the walls yet?" Daniel stared at her. She nodded slowly, like his silence was the answer she was afraid of. They sat at the kitchen table. Rain outside. Something moving slowly overhead. Mara Veld opened her leather bag and placed 3 items on the table. A journal, older than Eleanor's, the cover warped with age. A folded map, hand-drawn, covered in markings Daniel didn't immediately understand. And a small glass vial, sealed with black wax, containing something dark that moved too slowly to be liquid. Daniel stared at the vial. "Don't touch that. Not yet." She opened the journal. The handwriting inside was not hers. It was older. Much older. "My great-great-grandmother started this record in 1847. The Felt family has been living alongside one of these things since before your country had paved roads. We know things about them that aren't written in any agreement. Things Cole never discovered. Things your grandmother suspected but was too afraid to confirm." The overhead movement stops. Silence. The worst kind. Mara lowered her voice and said, "They're not singular. The thing in your attic, it feels like one presence, doesn't it? One entity. Contained. Specific." Daniel nodded. Mara added, "It isn't. What you're experiencing is one tendril of something much larger. Something that exists in multiple locations simultaneously. The guest in your attic and the one my family keeps, they're connected. The same root system. Different branches. And when one branch grows strong enough, when it's been fed long enough, been still long enough, it reaches toward the other branches, toward the source." A sound from inside the walls. Both sides simultaneously, moving toward each other. Daniel pushed his chair back from the table. Mara stopped him. "Don't. Moving suddenly agitates it. Sit still. Act normal. It's been reading your emotional state since you arrived. It knows fear from calm. It knows threat from routine. Right now it thinks this is a normal evening. Let it keep thinking that." Daniel forced himself to sit still, his hands flat on the table, breathing. Mara continued, quietly, quickly. "In 1847, my ancestor discovered that these things communicate. Not in any language, not in any way we can hear directly. But they leave traces, marks. My family started documenting them. The patterns they make, the way they move through structures, the geometry of their presence. That map on the table, every marked location is a known arrangement site. Active or formerly active." Daniel looked at the map. 40, maybe 50 locations, spread across the northeastern United States. Most had a small symbol beside them, the same circle with the vertical line he'd seen in Cole's notebook. Contained. Active. A handful had the symbol crossed out. Defaulted. Abandoned. His eyes found Vermont. Found the location of this house. The symbol beside it was different from all the others. Not a circle. Not crossed out. A circle with lines radiating outward. Like a sun. Or like something expanding. He looked at Mara. "That symbol means it's preparing to divide." The vial on the table, the dark liquid inside it, began moving faster. The truth about the guest. The temperature in the room drops. Both of them notice it. Divide. Daniel repeated the word. Mara explained, "They reproduce. Not like anything biological, not quickly, not randomly. But when conditions are right, when a branch has been fed and sheltered long enough, when the host family has the right kind of blood, it splits. Part of it stays. Part of it leaves, seeks a new arrangement, a new family, a new house. And when it leaves, it doesn't go quietly. Something in the attic. Not a creak, not a knock. A sound like the entire structure of the ceiling shifting. Like weight being redistributed. Like something very large changing its position for the first time in a very long time. The lights went out. Every light in the house simultaneously. Not flickering. Not dimming. Gone. Complete darkness. Rain outside. the sound from the attic growing. Mara's hand found Daniel's wrist in the dark. Her grip was iron. She whispered, "Do not make a sound. Do not move. It's not doing this to frighten you. It doesn't frighten. It doesn't threaten. It's doing this because it's testing the boundaries of the arrangement, feeling the edges, seeing how far it can reach before the agreement pulls it back." The sound moved, down from the attic, into the walls, filling the entire house at once, above, below, beside them, like being inside something alive. Daniel could feel it, not hear it, feel it, in the floor beneath his feet, in the chair beneath him, in the air inside his lungs. A presence so large and so old that the house itself felt suddenly fragile around it, like a paper bag holding something that had outgrown it years ago. Something brushed against the kitchen table. Neither of them had touched it. Mara reached into her bag with her free hand, found the vial, held it up, and even in the complete darkness it seemed to give off the faintest trace of light. Greenish. Wrong. The dark liquid inside it spinning rapidly now. She said, "This is residue from our guest, collected over generations. They recognize each other, like blood recognizes blood. When I open this, it will pull its attention back toward me, away from you, away from the house." She paused. "When the lights come back, and they will come back, I need you to go to the attic. Immediately. Place a fresh offering in the bowl. More than usual. It needs to be reminded that the arrangement is active, that you are here, that it has what it needs. Can you do that?" Daniel nodded in the dark, then realized she couldn't see him. He said yes. The word felt very small in that house at that moment. The sound of the vial's wax seal breaking. A smell, copper and something floral and something else entirely, filling the kitchen instantly. The house lurched. One massive, structural shudder like a dog shaking off water. And then, lights on. Everywhere. All at once. Daniel ran. Up the stairs. Up the attic stairs. He didn't let himself think. He did what needed doing. Placed the offering. Stepped back. And waited. Silence. Then that sound. Oh, resonant. Satisfied. The house settling around it like a body releasing tension. When he came back downstairs, Mara was standing at the kitchen window, looking out into the dark. The vial was empty. The map was folded. She was putting on her coat. Daniel is now breathless. Somehow he asks, "You're leaving? Now, after everything you just..." Mara snapped, "I've been away from my own arrangement for 4 days. There are limits to how long I can be absent." She picked up her bag, turned to face him. "The division will happen within the year, possibly sooner. When it does, part of it will leave this house looking for a new host. It will go to the nearest bloodline, same as always. Your mother, your cousins, anyone carrying Mercer blood." She walked to the door, stopped, did not turn around. She says, "Unless you give it somewhere else to go. Something more appealing than an untrained family with no knowledge and no preparation." She opened the door. Rain and dark outside. "I'll be in touch, Daniel. Lock your doors tonight. Not because it will help, but because the ritual of it matters. Routine is the only language these things fully understand." Her footsteps on the porch, then gone. Daniel stood in his grandmother's hallway, alone, the house breathing around him, the agreement holding, for now. He thought about what she'd said. Something more appealing than an untrained family. Somewhere else to go. He looked up at the attic door. He thought about the map. 40 locations, most of them active, all of them connected, all of them branches of the same route. A single knock from the attic, not demanding, almost communicative. For the first time since arriving at this house, Daniel knocked back. Silence. Then 2 knocks. A response. He didn't sleep that night either. But this time it wasn't from fear. It was because he had begun to understand that he wasn't just the keeper of an agreement. He was the keeper of something that was about to change. Something that was growing. Something that, for reasons buried deep in his bloodline, had chosen him specifically to witness what came next. And somewhere 40 minutes away, his mother's bedroom light turned on at 3 a.m. for no reason she could explain. She stood at the window, looking out at the dark, feeling watched. Her bedroom light, flickering once, then steady. She had no idea her son had knocked on the attic door. She had no idea something had knocked back. But some part of her, the part that carried the old blood, the inherited knowledge, the instinct Thomas Mercer had passed down through generations, that part knew. Her light goes out. That part was afraid. Rain fading. Dawn beginning. Birds but wrong somehow. Too quiet. Too few. Mara Veld had been looking for this house for 11 years. She had found it now. She had warned Daniel. She had given him the shape of what was coming. The division, the reaching, the thing that would leave this attic and go looking for new blood. What she hadn't told him, what she had deliberately left out, what Daniel would only discover when he opened her journal after she left and found the page she had bookmarked, was that the Veld family's own arrangement had broken down 6 months ago, that their guest had already divided, that the part that had left their house had not gone to another family. It had come here. In episode 5, there are now 2 of them, and the agreement only covers 1. Subscribe. Hit the bell, because the house just got a lot more dangerous.